Update. I, 29 female, spoke to my parents who ghosted me 5 years ago after my wedding and have now reached out. Original story. My husband, 30 male, used to be my boss. About 9 years ago, I started working as his assistant. We spent about 2.5 years ignoring our mutual attraction until we gave in. We then went to HR, who reassigned me, and the whole thing was strictly above board from the time we began dating. I got pregnant about a year later, and my husband and I decided to just get married. While we'd only really been dating for about 1.5 years, we knew each other completely, loved each other, lived together, and there was a baby on the way. We knew how it would look, but I had to leave the company anyway due to problems with my new boss, so we didn't anticipate this causing any issues, except with my parents. They, 62 male/57 female, have always been overprotective, so I knew they wouldn't like me dating my boss, and hadn't told them. But I had to tell them if I wanted them at my wedding. We decided to be mostly honest with them about how it was strictly professional until it wasn't, how the second it got unprofessional we went to HR, how he had never taken advantage of me, but now we wanted to get married, and we wanted them there. We did not mention the baby because I felt that giving them that information in addition to the rest all at once would just break them. I was only about 4 months along when the wedding happened, so the bump was easily hidden by a flowy dress. The wedding itself went off without a hitch, and apart from my mother pulling me into the bathroom shortly before the ceremony to ask if I was sure about this, which I said I was, my parents seemed to take it well. The ceremony and reception were at 2 different venues, and we had to travel from one to the other, and my parents never arrived at the reception. I called them and got ignored, and then my brother called them and they told him that they were going home. I don't remember the exact reason they gave, but it amounted to them being tired and uncomfortable. I tried contacting them after the wedding, but found that I was blocked on everything except email, which I used to send them a long letter essentially saying that I'm an adult who made an adult choice, but I hope they can respect that. 5 years later, I have not heard from my parents since my wedding. My husband and I are not big in social media in general, but I recently posted something for our 5th anniversary in which I mentioned our 2 kids and 3rd on the way. Within a month of making this post, my parents left a voicemail saying they saw the post, and having had no idea that they had grandchildren previously, now want to meet them. I haven't responded, and there have been a few follow-ups since, then asking why I haven't. I don't know what to do, but my gut instinct is that 5 years is too long, and it's about the kids, not about them respecting my choices or relationship. However, I can't help but feel that I am being unfair, and my brother agrees, because I told them in my mail that if they could learn to respect my choice in my marriage eventually, then we could talk. And now I'm retroactively applying a time limit. Edit. Can't find a way to work this inorganically, but my husband is not white. I am, as are my parents. I don't think this is a race thing or that my parents are racist, and neither does my husband. And we don't understand why they would want to meet our mixed-race children if they were, but this element is still gnawing at me. Should I reach out to them? If I did, how would we go about rebuilding the relationship? Now for the top advice before reading the update. How could you ever trust them not to just abandon your kids if they did something unauthorized? They've shown that they aren't willing to be loving. You can't trust people who don't know how to love. It's not even that they're not loving, but that their love is warped and conditional. It's based on whether Opie's actions aligned with her worldview, something I'm sure Opie was aware of as she lived with them for a number of years. Opie knew on some level that her parents wouldn't be happy or approve of her relationship. There was a lot of pretense built around that. It's like a rug that can't be pulled out from under you if they don't agree with what you're doing. That's not real love. That's control. You've buried the lead in your comments here. The piece of the missing puzzle is being named after your older sister who died before you were born. It sounds like you were a replacement child and they dumped you because you were no longer doing what they wanted. Especially with the added info of them talking a lot about your wedding day. They imagined your life a lot. It's honestly nothing to do with your husband being your boss in my opinion, and just to do with the fact it's not what they imagined for you. The fact they want to show up now that they realized there is another little girl apparently with the same name is a bit of a red flag. You were put in an impossible situation, born to replace a person that only existed for a brief period. She always did as she was told. She always loved your parents first, etc., etc. Be careful. Your parents aren't emotionally safe. This is all probably unconscious reaction to deep grief, mixed with whatever personality traits. Ghosting you for 5 years is messed up. They're basically saying they would have never spoken to you ever again were it not for your kids. Do you think you'll regret not reaching out? I would think it's 100% up to them to rebuild their relationship with you, and you decide if it's enough. I don't know if I would trust them with their children. They walked away from their daughter so easily. I can see them doing it to the kids as well if things don't go their way, and they're likely to be hurt. I think there is potential for regret with both options. If I don't reach out, then I'll always wonder what could have been. If I do reach out, then they could be amazing. Say and do all the right things, and my life will be better for it. But they could also be terrible to my family and an all-around harmful presence in our lives. And like you said, they could walk away from the kids. And if the kids grow to love them before they walk away, it'll break their heart to see them go. And now for the update. I asked to talk yesterday. We were on Zoom within an hour. It was my parents and me and my husband. They asked to see the kids, and I said they could see them eventually, depending on them earning our trust and convincing us they were going to be positive additions to the kids' lives. They asked to start by reading me a letter that they claimed to have written on my wedding day. It said that they were uncomfortable with me marrying my former boss, as they thought he took advantage of me. So they left between the wedding and reception to avoid a scene, but they wanted me to know they were here for me despite their issues with him. They added that they would have sent this to me the morning after my wedding. Then I sent my email about them needing to respect my choices, and they were so ashamed they couldn't bring themselves to send theirs. Seeing my anniversary post made them realize how much they've missed in 5 years, and they really don't want to miss anymore. I had some questions, like what the big deal was with me marrying my former boss, and they said that it just wasn't what they had in mind for my wedding and my future spouse. I asked why they even came to the wedding at all if they didn't support the marriage, and my dad responded that he wanted to walk his daughter down the aisle, as it was the only chance he'd get. The way it was phrased implied that they had intentionally only come to the wedding so he could give me away. I'd always planned to leave halfway, and because he said my daughter and didn't talk to me directly, it was pretty clear he was thinking about my older sister who passed away. My husband caught that too, and said that if they were talking about me, they should address me directly. Then added that if they had planned to leave, they should have told us, as we wouldn't have invited them. And the fact that they waited 5 years to reach out was going to take more reasons than shame. Because as a father, he didn't understand how they could ignore their daughter for years, or only get back in touch when we had kids. My dad snapped that it wasn't going to take this from a cootie, a slur meaning dark-skinned. My mother immediately tried to run damage control, but I ended a call. They have since messaged me several times trying to explain that calling my husband a racial slur wasn't indicative of a racist attitude, and he wouldn't have said that in front of the kids, so they should still get to meet them. I've spent 5 years wondering how they were so offended by me marrying my boss that it earned no contact for half a decade. Turns out they're just that kind of people. It's almost nice to find out. If it was just the boss thing, I would have sympathy for them and we might even be able to reconcile. But with this, it's now just a question of if I'm going to knowingly expose my mixed-race children to a couple of racists, which I'm obviously not going to do. Calling someone using a racial slur out of sudden anger most definitely means they have racist attitude. Sometimes we need to cut out people from our lives to protect who we are. This time you are doing that and protecting your family. They have shown who they are, and cutting them out can mean cutting out the toxicity. Yes, forgiveness is something we should all strive for, but sometimes we just don't need that negativity around us. Wish you the best. They are insisting they aren't. But even in our worst fights, my husband and I have never called each other slurs. And the only people who have ever called my husband slurs have been racist. What my husband was saying wasn't wrong either, or unfair. Half of it was things I had told him that I wanted to say to them, but had gotten too emotional to actually say it. I think I'm quite a forgiving person, but there is no forgiveness to be had here. If your parents said that they wouldn't say that slur in front of your kids, then they know it is wrong and shouldn't have said it at all. You have done the right thing. Yeah, we're racist, but we will hide it in front of the kids. You are people of color themselves. Get out of here. Good on you, Opie. Well, that closes that door once and for all. In a way, it must be a relief, ending the uncertainty. Hope can be more of a burden than giving up sometimes. Racist, and further evidence they were just using you as a dad-daughter version 2, and were planning your kids to be version 3. Now you can move on with your life, minus any guilt, and minus 2 millstones. It is. I've spent 5 years wondering what I did wrong, and why an HR problem was enough to lose my parents' love. Turns out there's nothing I could have done because it wasn't my fault, nor my husband's. It's now just a question of if I'm going to knowingly expose my mixed-race children to a couple of racists, which I'm obviously not going to do. Nothing more to be said, really. Other than why are they still able to message you? Give them one last warning that any further contact will be treated as harassment. Block, and follow through on protecting yourself and your family if they still refuse to accept that your word is final. We still have line of communication through emails, but I'm going to block that now. We're blocked on everything else, though I am expecting them to unblock me and start messaging me there once emails are closed. But I'll block them on those other platforms too. Now for the last story. Update. My entire family despises my fiancé and I have to choose between them and her. Is she manipulating me and is there something I'm not seeing? Original story. I met my fiancé when I was at a very low point in my life. We instantly clicked and had a whirlwind romance, and I proposed after 3 months and we are now engaged. I feel like my family has never approved of her, or particularly liked her. They are all very educated and work professional jobs, while she's a college dropout who works as a hostess. She's starting a venture of her own, and I'm funding it for her. The problem started with my sister-in-law and my brother. They told me that 3 months was too quick, and that I should date her for longer. They also implied that she's a gold digger. They never used the term. They said this because she doesn't financially contribute. My fiancé isn't particularly fond of my sister-in-law, as sister-in-law is very rich and successful, and fiancé thinks that she is snobbish. The problem escalated when there was a family wedding and my fiancé wasn't invited. She is of a different race, so she accused my family of being racist and said this to my parents' face. My parents never expressed an opinion about her, but that was their ticking point. My sister-in-law and brother added to this and told them about my financial contributions to her ventures and other details about her relationship. My parents said that I am making the wrong decision. I told my fiancé this, and she lashed out. She messaged my sister-in-law and told her that she's a horrible person for trying to wreck our relationship. My sister-in-law once again communicated this to my parents, and they have refused to pay for and attend the wedding. My fiancé says that her family will accept me with open arms, and that we can get married in City Hall. She accused my parents of being elitists, and said that they only like my sister-in-law because she's educated and of the same race. I love my fiancé, but I feel like she's trying to manipulate me into cutting all ties. I don't know what to do, and I don't want to reach a point of no return with my family. Any advice will be appreciated. And now for the top advice before reading the update. 3 months and you're funding a business startup for her? And engaged? Holy cow, that's fast track. What's the rush? Without knowing any other details, I'm on your parents' side with this one. 3 months is a blink of an eye. Her messaging your sister-in-law like that is a huge red flag as well. You haven't even met her family and she's asking you to cut yours off? Dude. If I ever bring up the fast track part, she accuses me of having second thoughts. And I was pretty sure she was the one until now, so I'll let it go. She said that I cannot meet her family because of COVID. They live across the country, even though we are all vaccinated and have traveled. Now that I think of it, it is quite strange. If I ever bring up the fast track part, she accuses me of having second thoughts. Run. What do you expect if you engage with someone after 3 months? You just can't know her enough. Then you pay for everything and she wants to cut you off your family to control you better. If you really want to stay with this woman, you must make clear that you will wait with marriage at least till spring 2023 and that you want a prenup. Don't give in when she talks about trust and that you think that the relationship doesn't work out. That is guilt-tripping and manipulation. Take your time to learn everything about her in every situation. For a few months or a year, a person can fake a lot. The longer you are together, the more of her true self will come to light. And don't give her too much money, don't let her have access to your bank account. Okay, I'm able to see all the red flags as I'm typing these comments out, but she told me that getting your prenup is against her culture. I hadn't even brought it up. This was unsolicited. Bro, she may be your fiancé, but you're just her piggy bank. Solely judging off of what's in this post, end this relationship ASAP and make amends with your family. And now for the update. Well, we broke up. A lot of the comments echoed what my family was saying, but the outside perspective drilled it into my head. I have a good relationship with my parents, and my sister-in-law is actually one of my best friends. Just to clarify from the previous post, I've never thought they were racist or snobbish. It was an idea my ex was forcing into my head. The breakup was very messy. I told her that I thought we were going too fast and that it wasn't working out, and she began crying and implied that she would end herself. I could see the manipulation clearly for the first time, and I just told her that it is above my pay grade and that she should seek professional help for this. Now, for all the money I invested in her business, well, it was a mistake, and I'm just considering it a sunk cost. It did hurt my pockets, but recovering it will just tangle more webs. Thank you so much for all the advice. It helps me avoid a grave mistake. And I just told her that it is above my pay grade. Damn, son, that's savage, but I like it. You didn't just dodge a bullet here, mate. You dodged 30 years of marital tyranny. If the price of that lesson was a few grand in her bank, I'd say that was well worth it. In the future, take it slow and introduce your family to the new missus. You probably already know that, lol. Good luck, mate. And one last tip from Winston Churchill, don't stick your member in crazy. Yep, I had an extra to pull that card on me when I was breaking up with her. And she knew full well I had lost my best friend to self-harm when I was younger. I wish I'd had the savage eloquence, but instead I just told her to immediately get the hell out of my house. When I caught my husband cheating and filed for divorce, he threatened to end himself. I told him to go right ahead. Please stay single for a while and maybe invest in therapy. Rushing into an engagement at 3 months while throwing down major fund was a severe lapse in judgment and self-respect. I think you need time by yourself to analyze why you let yourself get taken advantage of. I'm glad you're out, but wow. You paid a very hefty fine to learn a lesson. I highly suggest you seek personal therapy. I don't mean this to be offensive, but most people would have seen this as a really alarming behavior on both sides. You clearly got stuff to work through mentally. It's okay though. Good job on telling her that. Hopefully you blocked her. If you haven't, this is your reminder to do so now. Real talk though, imagine how hefty of a fine it would have been if they got married. $5 betting on her contacting you soon that she's pregnant with your kid. It will not be your kid even if pregnancy will be real.